Hello everybody and welcome to 5e Forever. My name's Corey. On this channel we enjoy talking about and making content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, even as the rest of the world transitions into D&D 5.5e and beyond. This is the second episode in a series we're calling Dicey Decisions D&D, where we take the power of character creation out of our own hands and put it in the hands of only the dice. If you missed the first episode in the series, I've got it linked in the description below. In that episode, I talked about some of the methodologies I'm using in order to create the character from level 1 until level 3, and we went through the first character build. In watching back episode 1, I found that there were some things that I was very happy with on the presentation side, and some things that I wasn't so happy with. The primary issue that I found was that in zooming in and out of the character sheet during the build, I was giving away some of the details about the build that I hadn't yet discussed in the video. Therefore, I'm going to be changing how I present the information so as not to give away the secrets before we talk about them in the video. So if everyone is ready to jump into the second character build, let's take it away. I'm excited to present the second episode of Dicey Decisions D&D, Sailor of the Fjords. As you can see, I've decided to take a bit of a different approach. I'm going to be using the computer and taking screen capture as I talk about this build, revealing certain information as it pertains to the build so that we don't give up any information ahead of time. Let's jump into the second build and see if this presentation is a little bit better than the first. When we first meet our hero for this second build, we need to first give them a race. Rolling on the table, I found that the race of this character is going to be a half-elf. In rolling for the name for our half-elf, the PHB gives us two different options. We can either use a human name for half-elves that have grown up in human sides of the civilization, or elven names for those who have grown up on the elven sides of civilizations. Rolling my d6, I found that this particular character grew up in the human side of civilizations, and therefore consulted the human names in the PHB. The player's handbook identifies that there are 9 different human ethnic groups that are widely recognized in the Forgotten Realms and gives names for 8 of them, Tetherian being the odd one out. So I rolled my d8 and rolled a 1. The first one in the player's handbook is the Kalashite ethnic group. So I rolled on that table to define the name for our character as Atala Rain. Now that we know that our half-elf female character is named Atala Rain, let's try to define some of the characteristics about this character. As a half-elf, the base walking speed for this character is 30, and she comes with the following half-elf racial abilities. She has dark vision out to 60 feet, Fey ancestry, having advantage on saving throws against being charmed. Languages are Common, Elven, and 1 language of our choice. In this case, we rolled on the table and found that she knows Abyssal. And we also have skill versatility, giving us proficiency in 2 skills of our choice. Now that we know a little bit about our character, let's go into the alignment and background. For an alignment, we find that our character is lawful good with the background of sailor. She is a sailor with the following personality trait of my language is as foul as an Octhilg nest. Sorry if I mispronounced that. As an ideal, she says that someday she'll own her own ship and chart her own destiny. Her bond is with her captain first and everything else second, and she cannot help but pocket some loose coins and other trinkets that she comes across in her travels. From her sailor background, she also gets some equipment. She gets a belaying pin, 50 feet of silk rope, a lucky charm such as a rabbit foot or small stone with a hole in the center, a set of common clothes, and a pouch filled with 10 gold. For proficiencies, she gets 2 for tools. She has proficiency with navigator's tools and with water vehicles as well. Just a note here that we are going to be saving skills to the very end, even after we do our ability scores. The reason for this is that if I try and reveal some of the skills ahead of time, it might give up some information, and that's really what I'm trying to avoid in this exercise. So right now we're going to be switching over and getting into the class for this character. Rolling on the table, we find that our half-elf named Atala Rain is a Druid, taking this up to Druid level 3. Druids get their subclass starting at level 2. So we are going to be finding that she is a Circle of the Land Druid. Oh, so very close to Circle of the Moon, but that will have to wait for another build. As a Druid, we get to know the secret language of the Druids in the language known as Druidic, and we can also wild shape to use our action to magically assume the shape of a beast that we have seen before. As a Druid, we also get certain starting equipment. In this case, we have a wooden shield. We rolled for a simple melee weapon and got a dagger. We get leather armor, explorer's pack, and a druidic focus. As far as proficiencies, we find that we are proficient with light armor, medium armor, and shields, and clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, and spears, and it appears that I have these in the incorrect order. Oops. For subclass abilities, we have the following. For Circle of the Land, which we receive at level 2, we get 1 bonus Druid cantrip, and we get Natural Recovery, which is basically the same thing as Arcane Recovery for Wizards, where we're able to regain some spell slots as we take a rest. We also get a class tool, and this is the Herbalism Kit. Our class gives us saving throw proficiencies, and Druids are proficient in Intelligence and Wisdom. So the next thing we're going to be getting into is the base ability scores. This is where we find out if our character is going to be a really good Druid or a not so very good Druid. I will just be revealing this all at once, and we will just be going from there. For Strength, I rolled an 11, and as a half-elf, we get a +2 in Charisma and a +1 in 2 other of our attributes. To get that +1, I rolled a d6, starting with Strength down to Charisma, and applied the +1 to the first 2 that I rolled that either wasn't already taken or wasn't Charisma. So I rolled an 11 for Strength, adding my +1 there, we get a 12, which gives us 1 for Strength. For Dexterity, I straight rolled a 16, giving us a 3 there. For Constitution, I rolled 13, giving us 1. Intelligence is 10, giving us a flat 0. Wisdom, I got 13, taking the additional +1 there to bump us up to 14 for a +2 modifier. And for Charisma, I rolled a 14, taking our +2 from half-elf for a total of 16, giving us a modifier of +3. For saving throws, this means that our saving throws look like this. Strength is +1, Dexterity +3, Constitution +1, Intelligence +2, Wisdom +4, and Charisma +3. We have 2 defined skills from our background. We get 2 skills from our class and also 2 skills from our race. The 2 skills from class is from a list of 8 available for Druids, and the 2 skills from race are any 2 skills. So the way that I did this was that I defined the skills that we get from Sailor, and then I rolled my d6s for the class. Once those 4 skills were taken, I rolled d20s and looked down the list and figured out on a numeric basis which ones we get from there. So our list of skills looks like this. From our background, we are proficient in Athletics and Survival. From our class, we picked up Perception and Arcana. And from the race, we picked up Insight and Religion. Overall, I think that these rolled pretty well. You can see what our modifiers are here. We actually don't have any negative modifiers for this particular build, so I think that's pretty darn good. We're also proficient in Insight and Perception, which are two of the most well used in the game. So I think overall we got pretty darn lucky with this particular character build's skill list and modifier numbers. With this information, we can define an armor class for a character, 16 armor class coming from 11 as the base, plus 3 for dexterity, giving us 14, plus 2 for the shield, giving 16, and initiative is a plus 3 based off of our dexterity. For hit dice, we have 3d6, and I rolled a total of 16 hit points at this level, which is probably somewhere around the average, maybe slightly below average for a character of 3rd level. Our passive perception is 14, which is 10, plus our wisdom modifier, plus 2, because we are proficient in perception. So we have a passive perception of 14. As far as weapon attacks go, we just have our dagger as we talked about before. We have an attack bonus of plus 3 from dexterity, plus 2 from proficiency, so plus 5 total, dealing 1d4 plus 3 piercing damage on a hit. So now we have completed the first page of our character sheet, whereas in the first episode we had a monk who did not have any spells at their disposal. In this particular case, we do have some spells to define. So let's define spells for Atala Rain, our female Kalashite half-elf. The number of spells that this character has is discussed a little bit in this text box. For cantrips, we get 2 plus the bonus from the Circle of Land for 3. We get 4 level 1 spells, and we get 4 level 2 spells, 2 of which are rolled for, and 2 of which come from our Circle of Stars additional spells. We, of course, are a druid. We have a wisdom spellcasting modifier. Our spell save DC is 12, and our spell attack bonus is 4. For cantrips, we rolled and got resistance, shillelagh, and produce flame. Shillelagh is probably the best druid cantrip in the game. Maybe that's debatable, maybe it's not. Of course, we don't really have the best weapon to use for this, so I can't see how much we'll actually get use of this cantrip right now, but I'm sure as the character progressed in the game, they would be able to pick up a weapon that would make very good use of shillelagh. For level 1 spells, we picked up Charm Person, Detect Magic, Healing Word, and Purify Food and Drink. And no, I did not select these. You might think to yourself that these level 1 spells are absolutely too good to be true, but I will say with 100% confidence that I completely rolled for these and got both Detect Magic and Healing Word. Not that Charm Person and Purify Food and Drink are bad spells in any way, shape, or form, but Detect Magic and Healing Word are just that good, as anybody who's played Dungeons & Dragons knows. So we are really fortunate to have these. For our level 2 spells, we get our circle spells, which are Spider Climb and Spike Growth. Spike Growth is an absolutely amazing area control spell. I think anyone who's played D&D for long enough knows how important area control can be in the game. So having Spike Growth given to us at this level is just awesome. For our rolled spells, we got Enhance Ability and Moonbeam. Again, you may believe that I handpicked these, but no, I legitimately rolled for these, and I got Moonbeam, which is also known to be probably one of the best level 2 druid spells available in the list. Pretty incredible, pretty good luck. So in this particular case, we have an absolutely amazing powerhouse character. While I theory craft about what the character could have done in their backstory to get to the place that they're at today, I'm going to be scrolling through some of the spells so that you can have a place to read them and review them in your own time. So the backstory that I have for this particular character, I think that they were a young sailor who was very impressionable and found a probably pretty good boat to be on. The boat probably had a captain who was very well versed, but may have had a problem with gambling, maybe drinking, that caused the gambling problem, and that may have rubbed off on our Atala Rain. So much so that when they went to a port in the Fjordlands, I'm thinking somewhere in Northern Europe-ish, or even maybe in New Zealand, the fjords there, they found a small port town and maybe found a bar or something of that where they got caught red-handed trying to steal from the locals. This found our character potentially in a jail cell up in the mountains somewhere. I think that they probably didn't know that they were a druid at first level, but some of the time in solitary detention got them to experiment a little bit with what they are as a person. After all, they probably had plenty of time to think and experiment with their own abilities. I think this time in solitary confinement probably pushed our druid to the mountain path of Circle of the Land. I think this character probably got out of this prison by wild shaping into a spider or something of that nature, and maybe spending some time over the next level. Maybe it took 6 or 12 months to level up from 2 to 3, and gaining life experiences. Maybe they had to work some odd jobs to get enough money to save up for a little dinghy. And I think that when we meet our character, she might even be on the flee from the very same folks who imprisoned her the first time. I think as we see this character springing into action, she's probably on a boat rowing or propelling herself magically along the banks of the Fjordlands, triumphantly declaring her freedom. Overall, I think this character is much, much stronger than the monk in the first episode. I think everybody would agree, and I think that this character is going to be very tough to beat. We have good modifiers all around, a very good skill list. We know Moonbeam. We can be a healer for ourselves and our party with Healing Word. We can detect magic. We are as good of a druid as we probably could have hoped for, and are going to be both a formidable one-on-one damage dealer as well as a very good support character. Overall, I think this character is probably going to be very difficult to beat in our power rankings, but for right now, she is number 1 out of 2. Let's remember her name, Atala Rain. This is episode 2 of Dicey Decisions D&D, known as Sailor of the Fjords. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and consider subscribing to the channel, and leave a comment down below with your own version of the backstory. Do you think I got it right? What do you think I could have done differently? And please also let me know if you enjoy this version of how the video is laid out relative to the first one. Have a great rest of your morning, afternoon, or night, and I will see you at the next video. Goodbye for now.